Hi, welcome to my channel. I am Nadia the Rose and I'm glad you stopped by today. So, to get right into what this video is going to be about, as you can see from the title, this is all about my experience with the NLN, how I scored the 97th percentile, and my tips for you to do the same or better. So, to get right into it, the NLN is the nursing entrance exam that I had to take for my nursing school. Now, it is also called the PAX-RN. So, the PAX-RN and the NLN are the same test. They're just called different things by some people for whatever reason. So, it's one of the tests. It's not the only nursing entrance exam test you can take. You can take multiple tests depending on what your school requires. Down here in Georgia where I live, there are two other tests that are really popular. I want to say it's TEAS, T-E-A-S, and it stands for Test of Essential Academic Skills. Another test that is very popular down here is, I'm going to call it HESI, H-E-S-I, and that stands for Health Education System Inc., like incorporated. I have never took the HESI or the TEAS. I'm not sure how they're pronounced, but I want to say it's HESI and TES. I don't know. I've never taken either one of them just because that's not the test that my school requires. My cousin who goes to nursing school an hour and a half away from me, she took the HESI because that's what her school requires. So those are just the three different tests that I know of that are very popular down here. If you get online and do your research, there are plenty nursing entrance exams, so you just need to make sure you're taking the one that your school needs. So for my school, you had to score a 121 on the NLN, which is about the 75th percentile. I ended up taking the test twice. So in the summer, I took it for the first time, summer of 2019, I took it, and I scored a 128, which is enough for me to compete in the nursing program to be considered, but it's not considered to be a competitive score. So I took it again in the fall of 2019, and that time I scored a 141, which is the 97th percentile, which is very, very high. Once you hit 144 and above, so it's 144 to 199, that is all considered the 99 percentile, pretty much a perfect score. My school allows you to take the NLN once a semester. Some schools only allow you to take it once a year. Some schools you can take it as many times as you want and then just submit your highest score. So you have to go back to what your school allows. My school, you only can take it once a semester. So I took it in the summer, didn't make the grade I wanted, and took it again in the fall, and obviously I did a lot better. So what was the difference between those two tests for me was, well, first of all, when I went into the NLN the first time, I just kind of went in to take it just to see, because I knew I had an opportunity to take it again in the fall. So I went in just to see what it would be like, just to prep myself and just to do it. I didn't study real hard, so I was really excited that I made a 128 because, you know, that's a pretty good score for not studying. The second time, of course, I knew what I was getting into. I studied and I got the book for it, which we'll get into a little bit later. So the NLN itself at my school, because it could be different from what what your school is doing. So the NLN is $75 to take every time. So my game plan was to take it twice. Like I said, I know it's kind of expensive, but in the long run, it was worth it for me to take it and just pay the $75 twice, because I wanted to be able to take it twice before I submitted my package in the spring of 2020, which is right now. So I took it twice. You have to decide financially if you can afford to take it twice. There may be some, I know with my school, there was some assistance program that they will help you pay for the test. I didn't take advantage of it just because I had the money to do it, so I just went ahead and did it, but you can check in to see if that's an option for you. So there are three parts to the test. It is reading, science, and math. Reading and word comprehension is kind of self-explanatory. You read the passage, you answer questions about the passage to see if you understand, like if you can comprehend what the message is. There's also a part in the reading and word comprehension where they give you a sentence and you have to pick A, B, C, D for the words that would go in the sentence. So basically you use your context clues to figure out what the words were. I know for me that was kind of hard because it's like you either know the definition of the word or you don't. And for some of the questions, I didn't know any of the words, just any of them. And I didn't study the reading portion. Even my second time, I didn't study the reading portion because I'm pretty good at reading comprehension and I either know the words or I don't. So that was pretty much, I just left it up to chance. It wasn't a big deal to me. Math was pretty much the same way. You either knew how to figure out math problems or you didn't. It wasn't really hard and everything came straight out of the book. Now science, when you get to the science, that was like a super bummer for me because it is science, like a mixture. So you have biology, you have chemistry, you have organic chemistry. Anything that you can think of that is science related, it's in there. The only science that's probably not in there is zoology. But other than that, any science you could think of, they're gonna ask you questions about it. So going back to the difference between my first and my second test, two things worked in my favor when I went to take my second test. Well, actually, I said three things worked in my favor when I went to take my second test. So one was I had already took the test before. I had already made a score enough to compete. So I wasn't stressing it as much as I was the first time because I can already put in my package. I've made high enough with the 128 to at least be considered. So that was the relief. The second thing was, I don't know how this happened, but when I went to take my NLN the second time, it was the exact same reading and word comprehension as it was from the first time I took it. So I had already previously read these articles, and so that helped for me. I'm not sure if that will be the same for you. I'm not sure how they categorize who gets what questions, or can you get repeat questions. I want to say it was just the luck of the draw that I had already gotten. I mean, every article, it was 5 articles, and they were all on my first one. So that really helped. But not as much because the first go around I scored in the 92nd percentile with reading and word comprehension, so that wasn't like a major downfall for me anyway. But it was nice that I had already read the articles from the first one that helped me with the second one. I think I ended up raising it by 4 points, so maybe 96th percentile, but it wasn't really a big deal for me because I had already done good on the reading. And like I said, this time I had actually studied with the official NLN book. So that is this book right here. I'm gonna put it in front for you to see. Now this is the book that I use to study. It is the book that the NLN website recommends. I bought it off of Amazon for $30-something. Can't remember, but it wasn't very expensive. Also, I am selling this, so if you want this book, I will give it to you for, I don't know, $10, whatever. I have it and I haven't gotten rid of it, or maybe I'll give it to somebody at my school. I haven't decided yet. But this book is like, if you're gonna take the NLN, you need this book. It also comes with a CD in the back of it, so you can take practice quiz and tests. I never used the CD. I don't know if it works. Like I said, I wasn't a huge studier for this one, but the CD-ROM is there. But it was also plenty of, let me go to a page. Hopefully it's not illegal or anything for me to show you. So this would be like a book with, so that page were practice questions. So I did those because they have 3 different practice tests for each section. So I just stuck with the book. I never needed the CD-ROM, but it's here if you want it. I'm sure it's going to be in the books if you buy it off of Amazon. I would highly recommend that book. it just goes up, especially for the science, which for me, I'm good in anatomy and physiology. Those are my favorite subjects. But when you mix it with all the other sciences, especially because some of those sciences are sciences that I haven't taken in years, I really needed the book to help me study. So for me, when I took the first test, I'm just going to break down my individual scores on every test just to give you kind of a visual of how I did. So on the first test, for the reading comprehension, I scored in the 92nd percentile. For the math, I scored in the 91st percentile. For science, I scored in the 21st percentile, which dropped my grade down to the 128 because I didn't know all the different sciences. Like, the sciences were so hard for me. But I made it through. So going forward to my second test, after I studied, took it for the second time. Reading, I made a 96th percentile. Math, I made a 99th percentile. And science, I want to say I made a 97th percentile, so that rounded it all up. And I made an average of a 97th percentile, a score of 141 on the NLN. So now that was my personal experience with the NLN. I passed. I don't need to take it again, so I will not. So now that you know my personal experience with the NLN, here are 3 things I recommend you do in order to pass the NLN. Number 1, take the test more than once if you can. If you can afford to take the test more than once, take it. Because I don't know if it's just me, but I always seem to do better my second go around. I'm less nervous. I know what I'm doing. I just feel more confident. That is just me. If you could take this test twice, I would highly recommend it. Number 2, buy the book. This one right here. Buy this book. It will help you pass. You will do good if you study the book. My test was September 9th, 2019. My book came in August 1st, 2019, so I had about a month and a week to study. I studied a lot, kinda. I studied enough. It was this book. This book helped me. You need this book if you're gonna take the NLN. I am selling this book for $10. So if you want it, drop that in the comment below. Let me know. Or I haven't decided. I might just give it away to somebody at my school who is getting ready to take the NLN. I don't know. But my third thing that I would highly, highly, highly recommend to pass the NLN is not to stress it. I know that's kind of cliche. A lot of people, you know, they feel like their lives are on the line because it's the nursing entrance exam. Like, why would I tell you not to stress it? Because if you fail this test, you can take it again. Might not be this year, but you can take it again. If anything that I've learned in the years that I have been in the nursing program, well, first of all, getting my prereqs out the way, trying to get into the nursing program, if there's anything I learned, is that failure is not as bad as it seems. I know plenty of people who are in my situation who actually took a break from school and now they're in the nursing program and everything is going smooth. It wasn't the expectation I left home with. I wanted to graduate in 4 years, start working. That is not how it ended up for me. But every time I took a L, especially with school, I kind of feel like it's meant to be. Like, okay, maybe that just wasn't the right time for me. And as you can see, it came full circle because I am in school to be a nurse. All those L's set me back, but they didn't stop me. So I would highly recommend not stressing this. You will eventually, if you stick with it, if you're dedicated to it enough, you will get into that program. Well, maybe not that program. You will get into a program. Let me say that. If you stick with it. So I wouldn't stress it. If you take it, if you fail, if you miss the deadline to take it, breathe. See when the next application is, when the next application gathering process is, and go for it, you know. So I would not stress this. I know plenty of people who were in my anatomy and physiology 2 class who were just crying, just hyperventilating, and it was like, is it that serious? It can't be. Like, it's a test. Like, you can take it over. So don't be those people. Don't be those people that cry in the hallway because you passed, or I mean because you failed, or I don't know why else would you cry. Probably because you failed. Don't be those people. You can take this test again. I have been trying to get into the nursing program since 2000 and I graduated high school in 2014, so I've been in college since 2015. It is 2020 and I am just now getting into the program. Life happens to us all. I would not stress it. Just keep moving forward and stay dedicated. So that is my spill on the NLN, how I made a 97th percentile, and my tips for you if you're going to take the test. If you have any more questions or you want this book, drop it in the comments below. Let me know. If you have any questions about anything pertaining to prereq nursing school, I can try to help you out. Nursing school is so different depending on what state you're in, what school you're in, let alone. So my experience might not be your experience, but I just wanted to post this video just to kind of help people out if you were taking the NLN. So thank you so much for tuning in to my video. If you like it, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.